today we're going to play around with some numbers and we're going to model some tricks. We're talking a little bit about algebra, we're talking about rules, and we're talking about pictures today. So try this trick. Think of a one-digit number. I'm going to start with the number 2. So every time I see one of these yellow cubes, it's going to represent my number I chose, which is 2. So this n over here, this just means the number I chose. So my n is equal to 2. If you chose 5, then your number, your n, would be equal to 5. I'm going to keep going with the one that I chose. So I'm going to take my yellow block and multiply it by 6. So now I have 6 blocks here, and each block is worth 2. So multiply by 6. 2 times 6 gives me 12. I look over here, how to write it in algebraic terms. 6 times my number's 2. 6 times 2 is 12. So now I'm going to add on 10. And when I add on 10 to 12, I get 22. And I look over here, I have 10 purple counters added on. And over here, 6 times my number is 12, and 12 plus 10 is 32. Now, divide by 2. So right here, they've taken my picture, and they've taken all these 6 blocks and divided those into 2 groups of 3. And then they took all these 10 here and divided them into 2 groups of 5. So in each circle, in each group, I have 3 n's, 3 of my numbers, so 3 times 2, which is 6, plus 5. So divide 22 in half. Uh-oh, I wrote 32 up there. 1 second. We all make mistakes. Erase the 3 and come back with the 2. All right, so 6 times my number plus 10 is 22, and then I halved it. I divided it by 2, and I got 11. So now when you look here, it says to subtract 5. So they took away the 5 counters, and I'm just left with my 3 of my numbers, and 3 times 2 is 6. 11 minus 5 is 6. 3 times my number, 3 times 2 is 6. And then the last rule is to divide that by 3. So what they did here is they took my drawing, all my numbers, and they grouped them into groups of 3. And how many are in each group? I'm back to my number. So I have 2 in each group. And what I'm going to look at here is what is the answer? Always your starting number. So right now, this number trick, the way that this is written, all the rules, any number that you pick here, any number, one-digit number, by the end, if you go through all these steps, draw it out. If you can work, you can pick with drawing it out or working with algebra or just following the rules, you should always get the answer that you started with. So that one-digit number that you chose, you should always end up with it at the end. If you do not end up with it at the end, you know that you've made maybe a little bit of a mistake. So go back and check your work. We're going to try one more here. So creating number tricks using algebra. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a different number. So I'm going to go with 10 this time. I know, oh, think of a one-digit number. So let's go with 9. So my number this time, and the number in algebra, it doesn't always have to be N, which stands for number. It could be any letter in the whole world. So A through Z, right now they chose to use A. It just means, what is my number? My number is A. What am I looking for? I am looking for A to equal 9. So let's multiply it by 6. 9 times 6, so 9 groups of 6 gives me 54. If I look over here, 6 times my number, which is 9, is going to be 54. Now, I'm going to add on 10 to that, so now I'm at 64. And you can look at the pictures, the drawings, and the algebraic equation over here if you want to follow along with that. I'm just going to kind of go with my rules. So subtract the original number. So look at 64 and take away the original number, which is 9. So 64 minus 9 gives me 55. I love what they did here. They subtracted one of my little 9s. Okay, so they took away a 9. Now I'm going to divide it into 5. So what they did is they divided this evenly into 5 groups. What's in each group? One of my little 9s plus 2 more. So if I divide it into 5, 55 divided by 5 is 11. My number plus 2 gives me 11, so I know I'm on the right track. Okay. And what's the original number? 9. It wants me to subtract it again. So let's do 11 take away 9. And I'm left over with 2. I'm left over with 2 in my drawing, and I'm left over with 2 in my algebraic equation. Let's see here. The answer is always going to be 2. No matter what number you choose, if you follow those rules, you are always going to get the number 2. Okay? So what I want to do over here is kind of a little number trick that you must finish. So can you finish the trick below so that the answer is always the original answer? So let's try a new one-digit number that I haven't used yet. So let's think 4. Okay, think of a one-digit number. So every time one of these green squares is worth 4, my number, y, is equal to 4. So multiply that by 10. So if I have 4 groups of 10, I have 40. And I look over here, 10 times my number, which is 4. I know I'm on the right track. It is 40. Now, add 10. So I'm going to get to 50. Okay? So I'm doing 10 times 4, which is 40. 40 plus 10, which is 50. Now, my goal, sorry. Oh, the elementary gets to go home. So my goal is to get back to 4. So how in the world can I get back to 4 from 50? I'm going to go and probably just cheat a little bit because I did this with a couple classes today. So I have figured it out, and I know that if I divide my number by 10, so 50 divided by 10, I'm going to get 5. And then how do I get down? I'm just going to write divided by 10, so I know that's my rule. How did I get down from 5 to 4? I just subtracted 1. And no matter what one-digit number, two-digit numbers, three-digit numbers you pick, try it out, you will always get back to your original number if you use these tricks. Okay? So what I want you to do is just practice, pick your own one-digit number, practice the rules, and you have a great start to how to use algebra, and we will be using these skills throughout the week. All right, thank you very much, and good luck.